What is up, everyone? Please take a second to hit that like button. The more likes that we get in a short period of time, the more people the algorithm will bring into the chat to come hang out with us and see what's going on. So please hit that like button and let me know how you're doing. Two feathers. It's hard to tell with this one. I don't know if I've ever gone live for Harris, so I don't know if she's going to be on time or not. What's up, PMT? Hey, thank you so much, Janet. I really appreciate the donation, the support. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much, Mark Hill, for continuing your membership. You're officially a hooligan. I like that they updated the membership, so now it tells you what the months are. So that turquoise marker is for 2 months. That's awesome. We were actually just talking about that, what all the different colors mean. That's cool they actually updated it. Yeah, we're going to have to come up with a character for Harris. Something non-explicit, but hits home. Got one for Old Man Walter, and we got one for the whole C19 team. We don't really have one for Psaki either. There's actually like a graphic artist in the Discord who does awesome characters of these politicians. It's in the art tab if you're on Discord. It's awesome. He actually sent me some art. I just have not done the unboxing video yet. I have an idea of what's in the box, but I just have not created the video yet. It takes me forever to make pre-recorded videos. I'm just not good. I'm not good with pre-recorded stuff. I got to do it all live. I might end up just doing it live. Otherwise, I feel like I'll never do it, and I'm not giving it justice because the art is awesome. So if you're on the Discord, definitely scroll down to the bottom of the list of threads, find the art tab, and check out the art there. It is awesome. Loco Valdez, you're awesome. Hyena Harris, pretty much. Well, she's 4 minutes late, if she even shows up. don't know. I think YouTube's trying to kick us off. I don't think they're happy about that rally we were just showing. What's up, Trigger Crazy? Yeah, YouTube's doing something weird. I mean, they just let go. There's like a dashboard when you go live that I have pulled up that monitors like the bandwidth and stuff. And I think what happens is gender confused little gay crackheads get in here, and I think they report what's going on, and then YouTube has a live person hop on and watch what we're doing. And I feel like when we're being monitored, that's when our bandwidth gets all messed up. And they just let it go. Like, I can watch my bandwidth like drop and then just kind of plateau, and then they just let it go and it went back up to 0. Like, it's not being pulled down anymore. Twitch has a similar function. And I just watched the same thing happen with Twitch, that my bandwidth was being taken up, but the buffering was only happening on YouTube dashboard. It actually gives me a warning light that it's buffering, but it doesn't make any sense because my software also monitors the bandwidth prior to showing the live, and that says it's fine. So that means somewhere after my computer sends it to the internet, there's something happening, and that's usually when we're being monitored. Gray Wool, yeah, that art is awesome. The artist, I don't want to guess his name. I see so many people's name. He's awesome. Definitely check his stuff out. He's awesome. He I think he either manages or runs a website that teaches people how to draw cartoons and stuff like that. I'll tell you guys all about it once I do the video. I need to put that together. It's gonna be awesome. Well, almost 10 minutes late. They're keeping that Biden administration rhythm alive, keeping that pattern going. Yeah, Dosho. I switch back and forth depending on what's going on. But because I just showed an anti-mandate rally, I assume that's why they're investigating what's going on, because it's directly against community guidelines. I mean, not the fact that it's anti-mandate, it's what is said during those rallies that's against community guidelines. But there is kind of I don't want to call it a loophole. They actually gave us a little bit of a buffer for this kind of community guideline, which I have listed in the description. You're kind of exempt if you're at a rally or like a public gathering and people are saying things that the community guidelines don't really like. So that's why I think we're still live. If YouTube had a problem with it, they'd throw me off by now. They'd already shut me down. John Smith, you're the second person to come here and say that today. What's up, Indigo? I appreciate you. Yeah, Deep South Jody. That's why I started going live on all these other platforms. Is because one day YouTube's gonna just delete me. I'm just not gonna exist anymore. And people are stubborn and they don't want to go to these other platforms. So as long as the majority of people are on YouTube, I have to play by YouTube's rules. But people, they'll figure it out as time goes on. It just sucks that none of these other platforms are as established as YouTube. So there's problems. There's different kinds of problems. Yeah, all I could do is just go live and try my best. It's up to everyone else to make it happen. Thank you so much, Mark Hill. I really appreciate the donation and the support. Thank you for being here. PMT, we did the Pledge of Allegiance during the Walter Biden live earlier.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, and colleagues.
These guys look like they're on Blue's Clues or something.
Thank you very much for joining us today. For those of you just joining us, we welcome you. And for those of you who have been with us, we appreciate you staying for this session on Building Back Better. So we've been hearing in previous sessions about the importance of a response to global health emergencies. Now we're going to talk about how to be ready for those emergencies. And we'll be hearing from a number of leaders and experts in that regard, telling us how exactly we should be looking at our global health architecture so that we're truly prepared. On that note, it is my great pleasure to introduce our very first speaker, Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Boo.
Thank you to our Director of Health and Human Services, Director Lois Pace.
Oh my God, I'm going to get some coffee. I'll be right back.
It is truly an honor to be with you today. As global leaders, each and every one of us has gathered here knowing that we are in a fight for our shared future. And the discussions happening today will shape what our world looks like, not only today, but tomorrow. So thank you to all of you for taking the time to join in this important meeting. So as I've said many times, I do believe that our world is embarking on a new era. The global pandemic was a turning point, and indeed a tipping point. These past 19 months have revealed systemic flaws and reminded us of our collective resolve. If we were not clear before, we know now. Our world is more interconnected. Our world is more interdependent than ever before. And therefore, the only way to move forward, the smartest way to move forward, is together. The task before us now is great. You have heard from President Joe Biden about what we must do to vaccinate our world, all of us working on that together, so that we can end this pandemic. In addition, my focus today is to talk about what we must do to prepare for the next. Because the truth is, the work to end this pandemic and prepare for the next is a strategic imperative. It is essential to our security and to our shared prosperity, and it will save countless lives. However, at this moment, we must also agree that our world is not fully prepared to prevent, to detect, and to respond to future biological threats. Indeed, we are taking some important actions to ready nations by strengthening health systems and supporting health workers. But unless we establish a new financing mechanism, in my view, we will never be fully prepared. Since this spring, I've been calling for such a mechanism. Italy, too, as the president of the G20, has raised the need for financing. And over the past months, our nations have met. And we have reviewed the reports. We have heard from the experts. And they have confirmed, yet again, there is not enough funding to adequately prepare for future biological threats. Friends, I do believe, I know we know, this is a stark warning, and it should be a wake-up call for all of us. Disease surveillance, vaccine development, vaccine delivery, healthcare worker support. Nations need greater capacity, and they need it now. In this new era, preparedness is a necessity, and it requires sustained and predictable funding that is on top of the emergency response mechanisms that already exist. We need to act so that our world will be ready to respond before and not after the next pandemic emerges. This pandemic caught us off guard, and it should not have. We have learned the cost of failing to prepare. With every death, we have learned all too much the seriousness of that cost. And it is time then to act. And so the United States joins the call for a new financial intermediary fund at the World Bank, which will help us bring together new resources for pandemic preparedness. And today, I am proud to announce that we, the United States, are prepared to contribute at least $250 million to help get this fund started. We have also requested an additional $850 million from the United States Congress. But again, it's going to take all of us to get this work done. We are issuing a call to action to countries and corporations from around the world to join us in this effort. And we have a collective goal of reaching $10 billion at the outset. And let's put this in context. That is a fraction of a percent of global GDP. We invite the nations gathered here to help us meet this, as some would say, ambitious, but I believe achievable goal. We also see an important role and responsibility for the private sector. Those who can must do everything we can. The Financial Intermediary Fund is an important step to build stronger, more resilient health systems and ultimately to save lives. But it is just one step. The pandemic laid bare the flaws within our systems and structures. As I've said many times, the fund will help address our capacity to prepare. However, to avoid the mistakes of the past and meet this present moment, we must also ensure transparency and accountability to ensure that all countries meet our global health obligations. To that end, the United States also supports a Global Health Threats Council that would monitor progress and identify gaps. It is yet another step we must take to ensure that political leaders remain committed to the goal of preparedness. Generations from now, I believe we will all be able to look back to this very moment at the start of this new era as the moment when our world joined together to realize a better future, a future in which all nations have equal capacity to prevent, detect, and respond to biological threats, and are equally held to account. A moment when we join together to build a future in which all nations have strong and resilient health systems that all people can access. A future in which we can stop biological threats before they start. This future is possible. If we work together, I do believe we can and we will make it possible. Thank you all again, and let us go forth together. And now I will return it back to Laura.
Her AIDS is the only thing that's a biological threat that we're concerned about. She should eat shit and shut up. Yeah, Mark. She definitely reads that teleprompter a little bit better than Old Man Walter. Good Lord. So I don't remember voting on that. Do you guys remember voting on that? What? They're just... Why are we paying taxes? They left all of our military equipment in Afghanistan and gave it to a bunch of people who just want Americans to die and don't know how to treat anybody. Then they're going to turn around and take all of our taxes and put it in the World Bank for future pandemics. This is the worst one we've had in 100 years, so we're just going to stock up early for the next 100 years. You know, a century from now and whatnot. We'll worry about that pandemic. So, give me money, douchebags. So stupid. Alright, so I think in 23 minutes, supposed to have Jim Psaki. God only knows what she's going to say, if she even shows up. You know, out of everyone, she's actually the only person that does show up is Jim Psaki. As much as we hate her, at least she shows up. At 1:45, so in 23 minutes. I think we're just gonna stay live. Just why cut it off? That was the first time we've seen her in a while. She doesn't have anything to say about the border or Afghanistan or any of that kind of stuff. Just show up and say, hey, we're going to take all your money. We're going to put it towards stuff that has nothing to do with you. And that's that. What's up, Sherry? I don't like how she said, we, America, like she's speaking for all of us. Like, nah, we didn't agree to that. We didn't agree to none of that stuff you're talking about. You were speaking for yourself and your dusty administration. This stuff is not going to get better. They want people to hit that breaking point. It's not good. That stuff is not good. Did you guys hear that there's a... I've heard a little bit of both. The only articles I've seen refer to them as the extreme left. But I've heard it's either BLM or Black Panther or, you know, one of those kind of groups. They're at the border trying to get the migrants under the international bridge to stay. They're like protesting, I guess, to try and get those 15,000 people to stay here. I don't know. I was kind of waiting to see if something like that was going to happen. The only thing that's interesting about that is they're actually showing up to stuff that is messed up. They may not be on the right side of it. They may not be handling it in the best way, but they're actually there. So there's stuff going on the border. No one likes it. Everybody's complaining about it. Not one single politician is being held accountable for anything we've complained about, bitched about, or Americans that have died for. At all. No one is being held accountable. At all. We all talk about it. We see all the evidence. We see all of Fauci's emails and his documents proving and connecting him to C19, but here he is telling us what to do on the live every other day. Nobody's being held accountable. But these BLMers and those kind of groups, they're actually showing up. And as much as people don't like what they do and how they handle things, they're actually kind of being proactive. They're also doing stuff in New York because New York is like full-blown communist right now. You got to show your card in order to do anything public. I guess even if you want to ride a Lyft or Uber or whatever, you got to have your card. So apparently there was a black woman that was denied entrance into a restaurant for lack of proof of the card. Someone has said that there was also like racial slurs said and stuff, which I haven't actually read that in an article at all, but I was told that. So BLM was protesting and standing against that restaurant and pretty much mandates in general. Now, I've been saying this since the beginning, is we all need to figure out a way to like stick together, because each other, like us causing problems for each other, is very minute in comparison to the mandates and the authority above us telling us what we can and can't do, whether or not we can go to school, whether or not we can go to work, whether or not you can fly a plane. That's the real problem. And when you start agreeing with these groups that a year ago you did not agree with, that's how you know some stuff is going on. I really don't want to see it come to the point where the unjabbed are sitting in the same camp as the people who are jabbed and have everybody get together and go, oh, we should have seen this coming. I really don't want to see it get that far. And I'm really hoping that these kind of events are an eye-opener for people who have no idea what's going on, or they got their head in the sand or whatever. When you start agreeing with people that you totally stood against a year ago because of their beliefs, it's time to like look past it. Like race baiting and all that kind of stupid, that stuff is trash panda. But standing against the mandates, going and dealing with stuff like the border, like that's what we should be doing. We're all American. I mean, not everybody in the chat. Big shout out to everybody it's outside of America that's watching for your update on news. But all of us here in America, we need to look past that nonsense and really stick together, because they can't force all of us to do anything if all of us are united. And that's why they keep dividing us. We were talking about it in the Discord last night about the whole Pureblood thing. A lot of people have been asking me to make Pureblood shirts. I understand the symbolism and stuff behind saying that, but that is a huge divider. That is a big divider. And I know that it's in reference to mudblood phrasing from Harry Potter and stuff like that, but I think it's a psyop. I think that whole Pureblood crap was made by some 3-letter entity that, I mean, it was like, how long have we been divided between the jabbed and the unjabbed? A long time. It's been months and months this has been going on. Why did this Pureblood phrase just pop up a couple days ago and go viral? Everybody's saying it. Everyone's talking about it. Why did that just happen out of nowhere? Can you find the exact clip, video, conference where that came about? Because I haven't found it. It's like it came out of nowhere, but everyone knows about it. That's kind of weird. Now, when you say, oh, I'm a Pureblood, I understand that you're being prideful while not complying. That makes sense. But what you're saying when you say that is that you basically hate those that have got the jab. And although that may not be your intentions, that's what you're telling people who have already got the jab. You're telling them that you're against them, that they are less than you. They're putting that phrase as biological supremacy. That's how they're connecting that. So they can't say you're a racist anymore. Or, I mean, they can, but it's lost its effect. We're saying you're a nationalist. We're saying that, you know, you're a white supremacist. Well, now they're moving on to biological supremacy. You're saying you're superior because you haven't got the jab. Now, that's fine, however you feel about it. But what I personally think, in my opinion, is that most people don't care. Most people don't care if you got it or don't got it, or if you want it or don't want it. People don't care. People care about whether or not you're forcing them to get it. People want pro-choice. And most of us here just want pro-choice. We don't want anything else. We don't want to be told what to do. We don't want to tell you what to do. If that's how you feel, then why are you saying Pureblood? Because now you're causing division out of being prideful. Saying I do not comply doesn't mean that you hate people that do comply. Saying that you're a pureblood puts people, because you got to think about it like this. If someone got the jab, that does not mean that they want you to get the jab. That just means that they wanted it. Now, some people are jab Nazis, and they think you're a leper. If you don't go get the jab, you got leper disease. I understand that. I'm fully aware of that. But what I'm saying is not everybody that got the jab is a jab Nazi. So when you say pureblood, you're saying fuck you to those people that are not a jab Nazi. And you're kind of making them a jab Nazi. You're making them say, well, I'm already receiving the hate just because I got the jab. So I might as well start pushing back. You're kind of creating jab Nazis by that phrase. Now you guys can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. I don't ever tell you what to think, feel, do, or say. But that's my opinion. I feel like saying the pureblood stuff is it's causing division, and it's unnecessary, because really deep down most of us don't care. Most of us don't give a shit. As long as you're not telling me what to do, I'm not telling you what to do. So I'm not going to say that my blood is better than yours because you decided to go do that for your own reasons. It's somewhat ignorant, and it's somewhat prejudiced, and it's unnecessary. And you're really putting yourself in a spot for these far left, these extremist groups to come out and say, hey, look at these assholes saying that they're pureblood. What about the indigenous people that are from here? You guys are white colonists who came here and colonized it, and now you're masquerading about as if you're the pureblood Americans when you're not from this continent. You're going to get painted up like that. You're falling for it. You are falling for it. They're going to have you, all of you guys, in an article, and they're going to have you tagged up. And what if Facebook gets involved? What if this big tech gets involved? They're going to go through your whole account, and every time you posted, oh, I'm a pureblood, or hashtag pureblood, boom, now you're getting taken down. Boom, now you're getting FBI knocking on your door because you fell for it. There's no reason to do that. I don't know. I'm not saying you're stupid for doing it. I'm saying it's stupid to cause division like that. They're already dividing us by race. It's down to the point where you can't hardly even say or do anything because otherwise you get called a racist. And now they're going by whether or not you got the jab. They've already said this is a war against the unvaccinated. And now people are calling themselves purebloods. You're falling for it. You are falling for it. I understand it sounds cool. It's really edgy. It would look good on a t-shirt. Makes you feel super powerful. You're falling for it. It is brainwashing. It is a psyop. I swear. Now you can go ahead and do it. I'm not banning people for it. I'm not telling people, whatever. But I've been thinking this for a few days, and you're not going to see me get on board with it. You're not going to see me make t-shirts for it. Like, what am I supposed to do? Divide my viewers because of a phrase? I don't care if you got the jab or not. Just don't tell me what I'm supposed to do. All is welcome. Who is not here for hate? That's it. So I'm not going to make a t-shirt. I'm not going to be posting it. And I've been thinking this for a couple days. And so I just want to say my 2 cents. I don't hate you for posting it. I don't care that you're posting it. I don't care that you're saying it. I don't care if you're mad because of what I said. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. Just like I totally agree with you being entitled to yours. So, just wanted to get that off my chest. Just wanted to say that. Because I know everybody's hopping on board, but I don't think you're thinking about the big picture here. Thank you so much. Oh man, I think I gotta do all the shout outs. Actually, I don't think I've got any of you guys. Thank you so much, Janet, Mark Hill, Jessica H, Scatterbrain, and CP Cats. Thank you guys so much for your donation and your support. I really appreciate you guys. Yes, Miss Jamie. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you so much, Miss Jamie, for joining the membership program, and welcome to the family. You're officially a hooligan. I am sorry that I missed you the other day on the live. Hey, thank you so much, Debbie. I really appreciate your donation and your support. Thank you for being here. What's up, Mares? Thank you for being here. Yeah, I appreciate you, Susan. All right, so it looks like we got just under 10 minutes before Gemball Psaki gets on the screen. What did they just do? Oh, they just ended the live. Hold on, let me get this set up. This live hasn't even started yet. It's almost got 1,000 thumbs down already. They can disable that chat, but they can't outrun those thumbs down. Oh, we'll see how this goes. I'm sure there's going to be tons of questions about the southern border. Did you guys see any of the footage of the, I don't know if it's Border Patrol or, I don't know. Last time we saw Gemball Psaki, they were talking about how there was images or video or something of migrants at the International Bridge getting whipped by people on horseback. I have not seen any of that. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I haven't seen any of that footage. I've seen tons and tons of people underneath the bridge. I guess they weren't too excited about being deported or whatever happened to them or is currently happening to them. But I thought that was really interesting that they were talking about that because I haven't seen any of that. What is AUKUS? AUKUS. What is that? John Costello. They turned out to be false allegations. I could see that. Don't get busted, Rachel. They're going to call you an extremist. Listening to the truth while you're at work. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I see what you guys are saying. Some people were just basically commanding their horses while they were riding, and through imagery, they try to make it look like something it wasn't. That makes a lot more sense. I don't know why Border Patrol would be doing stuff like that. as far as I know, they don't want to do anything but their job, and they're having a hell of a time doing it because the Biden administration won't let them. They want all those people here. Who's going to vote for them next term if they don't bring all these people here that don't know any better? Mary, AUKUS is Australia, UK, and US. Thank you for letting me know, because I didn't know what that was. There's so many acronyms. Brian, you're awesome. Have you guys ever tried to report the White House feeds? Like mass report it and see if you can get it flagged? I wonder if it's even able to be flagged. It's weird. It's weird how all that stuff works. Thank you so much, Two Feathers, for your donation and your support. I really appreciate you. Yeah, and that's basically what I'm saying. Like, if you got the jab, good. If you don't, good. It really doesn't shorten or prolong my life at all. It's not a decision that affects me. So who am I to tell you what you should do? Yeah. What's up, Soil Tender? You're good, Indigo. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Enoch, for your donation and your support. I appreciate you. I don't really know how the credits work on Odyssey, but I appreciate the effort. It's awesome. In Denmark, they closed the jab stations because people aren't taking it. That's interesting. I've heard the same thing in Russia and like 2 or 3 other countries. They're not even importing it anymore because nobody's taking it, and so then it expires and then they have to throw it away. Well, they have to dispose of it. They can't just throw it away. It's biological or whatever. I don't know. We're going to end up being the last country taking it. PMT, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering if that whole World Bank talk had anything to do with cryptocurrency. Beanzo. No, I have not taken my flag for a walk. I keep trying to, but the weather here is lousy. I might be able to do it today. I'm not sure. I'm supposed to go to the range as soon as I'm done being live, getting some shooting practice in. Got to make sure I still got it. And then there's nothing else scheduled for the rest of the day. If it doesn't rain, maybe I'll take my flag for a walk. I know it's really windy and it's really cold. It's only like 55 degrees out right now. Oh, I guess it's 57. We'll see. We'll see. I definitely want to, especially before it gets cold. But the weather has to permit. I mean, as long as it's not a thunderstorm, I'm pretty much willing to go do it. I'll probably have to do it by myself. I think everybody else has got stuff going on today. But whatever. I'm really eager to take it for a walk. It's definitely time. Corn, I'm on the west side of Michigan. I don't know what's going on with that side of Michigan. Nautical Noise. Are you from Pentwater? I'm right next to Pentwater. I'm really close to Pentwater. Yeah, man, and this is the first time I've been able to go out and shoot my pew pew pretty much since I got my CPL. I wonder why Michigan has a CPL and everyone else has a CCW. If you have a CCW, does that mean you can carry any kind of weapon concealed? Because maybe that's the difference. Because like my CPL means I can only carry a hand pew pew. I can't conceal anything else. What's up, Jeff? You're in Lupton? That's awesome. Lots of Michiganders here. Jonathan, you could conceal mace. You could conceal a blade longer than 3 or 4 inches. You could conceal a baton. I mean, there's a sword. There's lots of different weapons you could conceal. The license here does not permit you to carry or conceal anything other than a hand pew pew. Hey, thank you so much, Zombie Cartman. I really appreciate the donation, the support. Thank you for being here. I'd like to get one of those pistol ARs from my car, just so I could like mount it in there and have that concealed. Here in Michigan, and I've seen a lot of these, I'm actually looking for a new holster because the holster I have like digs into my stomach when I sit down, and I hate that. So I'm trying to find a new holster. And I see a lot of people, there's a couple different holsters right now that have to do with magnets, and in the previews they show people mounting them to their cars, like underneath their dashboard. And I see a lot of people talking about that being illegal, but here in Michigan, that's legal. Your car is your holster. You can actually just throw your pistol right on the seat and not have tinted windows, and people probably will call the police, and the police probably will show up, but you're not actually breaking the law as long as no one else is in the vehicle, because you have to have a CPL in order to be in the vehicle with a pistol laying out in the open. Anthony, it was like that here too. If you have your medical marijuana card, you cannot get a CPL. Because Michigan is now like recreational or whatever it's called for 21 and older. That hasn't been so much of a problem, but you definitely can't have both together. You can't have like weed in your pocket and a pistol on your hip. You're not getting away with that here. Thank you so much. Enter username. I really appreciate the donation and support. And yes, I have the President's rally already scheduled. We will be doing the Trump rally. Is it Saturday? Yeah, on Saturday. A concealed chainsaw permit. I mean, I guess however you need to defend yourself. Yeah, Ryan, you can open carry here in Michigan without a permit, but people will call the police on you. The police will show up. They will jump the curb. They will hold you at gunpoint, make you get down on your face. They will arrest you. And when you bond out of jail or go to trial or whatever you do, they'll figure out that you were within your legal right, and then they'll let you go. But however long you were incarcerated or whatever happened to you during the situation, you'll never get that back. You'll never get that time back, and it's not worth the hassle. So that's why I got my CPL. I've never open carried. Something about my demeanor makes officers think I'm being a tough guy, even though I'm trying to be totally respectful. I think it's either how assertive I am or how knowledgeable I am in certain situations that throws them off, and they feel like they have to be an asshole to me. So I've never open carried here in Michigan. They would probably shoot me in the face and call it a day. Even at a simple, traffic stop or anything like that. If there was any kind of situation where they think I have a weapon, because I'm a violent offender, they would probably just shoot me in the face and call it a day. So I just conceal carry. Angry Farmer, I know it's going to sound ridiculous, but I carry a full-size XDM with 19+1 in the chamber. It is hard to conceal, but I don't have to carry an extra magazine. I can, but I don't need to. If I can't get the job done with 20 rounds, I deserve what I get. John Costello, Right Side Broadcasting says it's on Friday. Oh, let me see what my schedule says. I usually go off what Right Side Broadcasting has posted. Oh, I have it on the schedule for Saturday. Well, I'll keep my eyes open for Friday. Are you sure that it's the Trump rally on Friday and not the audit? Because the audit is supposed to be released on Friday, and maybe that's what Right Side Broadcasting has scheduled. Oh, and for everyone asking me what I carry, it's a 9mm. I don't think I said that. Yeah, my backup is a GSG 1911 that shoots 22s. I shouldn't use it as a backup. Your backup should actually be a bigger caliber. I'm just more... I have more muscle memory for my 9 than I do my 22. Yeah, John Costello, that's why I figured it was the audit. I'm going to try and cover the audit, but I will not be able to do it on YouTube. There's just no way. They're not going to let that fly at all. It'll be on Odyssey, Twitch, and Rumble. I won't be able to show the audit. I can't even talk about that kind of stuff. That's why I just refer to it as irregularities. Because if I add anything else onto that phrase, there's a chance they'll just delete my account. I've already had like 4 or 5 strikes because of that phrasing. And thankfully, I've been able to appeal a few of them. But they're super crazy about their irregularities here on YouTube. David Brooks, your Honda's holy. It wasn't blessed by Jesus, but it's holy. Man, you're funny. Angry Farmer, I try to get federal rounds. They seem to be the cleanest that I've come across. Federal hollow points. They're hard to get now. Everything is hard to get now. You got to buy it in bulk. You got to have $300-$400 in order to buy ammo now. At least here in Michigan, you do not see ammo on the shelves at all. There's a Ruger 5.7 I want to get, but I've never ever seen the ammo for it since I've seen that pew pew. I can afford to get that, but there's no ammo. I can't even order it for any amount of money. So that's like, what's the point of buying it if I can't put nothing in it? So yeah, Mercy Rain. The last time I seen ammo was at Dunham's, and you could only buy 2 boxes of whatever caliber they had available. Yeah, Thomas Kirby, Biden banned the importation of ammo, and I'm not sure if it's just from Russia or if it's importing it at all. Well, Psaki, you're 11 minutes late. Yeah, David Brooks. I've heard of people going to reload, but I also heard that you can't find the oh my god, I don't know why I can't think of what it's called. The little thing that's in the middle that ignites it. Whatever that's called that my brain's not recalling right now. I guess it's hard to get those. Flints, flares, something. I don't know. My brain's not pulling it. Whatever that is. Primer. Thank you. It's a primer. I heard that they're hard to get. They're just as hard to get as getting the round itself. So, I don't know. I've thought about reloading myself, but I want to wait till things are more available. I don't want to buy all this very expensive equipment to reload and then not even be able to because I don't have all the pieces needed. What's up, Indigo? You're on all platforms. Just platform hopping. Seraph, there's a lot of people around me that have the necessary equipment to do reloading. A lot of them are old. You'd be surprised how many old people I'm connected to. It's probably because I was raised by my great-grandparents. Half my friends are 60s and older. But I could probably get equipment through them because they don't reload anymore. But if I can't get primers, what's the point? Have a lot of people, can you reload 22? And if you can, is that what a lot of people are doing because you don't need a primer? What's up, Tat and Blue? Thanks for being here. You cannot reload 22. I see. Yeah, 22 is not available here, but I have like 4,000 rounds or something right now, so I haven't bought any. Interesting. Yeah, I know 22 has built-in primers. I didn't know if you could reload them or not. I guess not. Soil Tender, the reason I do have slugs, but the reason I carry hollow points is because if I ever have to defend myself or anyone around me and I'm in town, I don't want it to travel. I'm responsible for every round that comes out of the front of that gun, that pew-pew, until it stops. And so although I may stop the threat against my life, it may not stop there. It could travel into a house or into people behind it or into a store or whatever is behind that person. And so that's why I always carry hollow points. But when I go to the range today, it'll be full metal. It's not going to be hollow points. Those are for defense only. Enter username. Did I see the 50 cal giveaway from MTG? I do not participate in giveaways. Although they may be real, I've had lots of experience through the music industry on how doing a giveaway or a contest and stuff like that is actually just a marketing ploy. They have no intent on actually giving you anything. It probably belongs to one of their buddies whose name will get drawn at the end of the contest. And oh, they got this free gift, and really they're the owner of it anyways. It's all a facade just to get people to participate in the contest. There is so much manipulation and psychology that goes into marketing and branding that it's unreal. It should almost be illegal how bad it really is. So when I see people that are like, oh, we're doing a giveaway, I immediately turn away. I'm just totally turned off by that. That's just me and my experience from dealing with music and stuff like that. So no, I didn't know that there was any kind of giveaway or anything like that. Yeah, Trigger Crazy. I've heard a lot about Demolition Ranch. I don't, watch their videos consistently, but I've had so many people send me videos that I've checked them out, and they do a pretty awesome job. Has Demolition Ranch done reviews on vests? Because I want to say the last one I watched was them doing kind of like a destruction test on plate carriers. Emol B, I wasn't saying that all contests and giveaways are fraudulent. I've just seen so many that I'm just turned off by them. I don't participate in that kind of stuff. Shepherd Shep, I understand that 22s do not have primers, that they are rimfire. I understand that. That's why I asked if people were reloading them, because you wouldn't have to buy a primer. I fully understand. John Costello? Oh yeah, they're late. She's super late. She's 18 minutes late right now. Kansas has good stock. It seems like everywhere but Michigan. Michigan is so bad. Our state is ran like crap. It sucks too, because Michigan's nice. We have all 4 seasons. We have, the biggest body of fresh water, dunes and woods and hunting property, and just you can do a little bit of everything here. A little bit of everything. But our state is ran like crap because it's ran by stupid politicians that want to keep everyone poor, and they want to keep that poor mindset. That mindset that you need the government, you need welfare, you need government assistance, you need to be on Section 8, you need to have subsidized housing, you need to rely on all this state-funded crap, and don't go get a job, don't start your own business, don't learn how to do your own taxes, don't learn how to be independent and free from the state. Don't stand up for yourself. Just go sit in the ghetto somewhere, be poor, ask for free stuff, steal stuff, commit crime, and go to jail. And then once you go to jail and you get on papers, they never let you go. As soon as you get a record, you're just automatically a criminal for life. Anytime I get stopped by an officer for any reason, like even if I'm just a passenger in a car, as soon as they read my name, everyone has to get out of the car. Everyone has to get face down. Everyone's being searched. They're going to illegally search the car. They're going to bring the dogs. They're going to put the pistols in all of our face. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's so dumb. And it's because I have assault charges from when I was 17. I'm 32 now. I'll be 33 pretty soon. And they act like that stuff happened yesterday. They treat me and any passenger with me like total crap. And I'm sure it has to do with officer experience and stuff like that. And I don't hate officers, and I don't want them defunded. And, I'm not saying any of that. But, oh, man, they treat me like crap. And I just expect it at this point. I get pulled over. I'm like, here's all my stuff, hands on the dashboard, face against the steering wheel, like, do whatever you're going to do to me, because I already know you think I'm some bad guy. Sucks. I can't get an expungement serum. If you have more than 2 misdemeanors, you're exempt from expungement. So even though I don't have any felonies, I'm stuck with what I'm stuck with, and that's kind of that. There's nothing I can do about it. You would think that the fact that they're like 17 years old, the charges are, that it wouldn't matter anymore. I've made it 17 years without committing another crime. Nope, they don't care. So it sucks. It really sucks. It probably wouldn't be that way if I left, but due to certain circumstances, I'm not able to leave. I need to stay where I am. And so as long as life's that way, I just need to be knowledgeable of my rights, the laws here in Michigan, and just stay on my best behavior, which all I do is sit here on the live anyway. I barely leave the house. Oh well. Oh well. It's kind of weird in a way, because if an officer stops me, I get handled like I'm a violent criminal, but the state had no problem giving me a CPL. They were like, oh, you want to conceal carry? Awesome, here you go. Gave me the license. It's weird. It's weird. It's kind of contradicting, but again, it comes back to how the state is ran. Our state is ran like crap, and it sucks, because Michigan's actually kind of an awesome place. Oh, Jim Ball Psaki. She's got to put her human skin on. She's got to get everything straightened out. Obi-Wan. Yeah, our mosquitoes here are super crazy, and I'm allergic to mosquito. I'm allergic to like anything. I'm just super sensitive. But if I get bit by mosquitoes, I get like jawbreakers under my skin, and it hurts and they bleed, and it is not good. It is not good. If I get it, and they love me, I can just bathe myself in mosquito spray, and they will land on me and never move again, because they have died on contact, but they just feel that I'm worth it. So they kamikaze me. I get these big jawbreaker welts.
Hi, everyone.
It's crazy.
Okay. Today, the administration announced a historic new donation in the global fight to defeat COVID-19. President Biden announced that the United States is purchasing an additional 500 million Pfizer vaccines to donate to low and lower middle income countries around the world. Before today, the United States had already committed to donating over 600 million doses to the world. That includes 500 million Pfizer doses that we purchased earlier this summer to donate to 100 countries in need, the largest donation of COVID-19 vaccines by a single country ever. Overall, we have now shipped nearly 160 million of these doses to 100 countries around the world, from Peru to Pakistan, Sri Lanka to Sudan, El Salvador to Ethiopia. To put this in perspective, the United States has now delivered more free doses than every other country in the world. Combined, millions more get shipped each week, and importantly, our donations come with zero strings attached. Today's announcement brings our total to over 1.1 vaccines donated to the world overall. And we're building from here. This is obviously a huge commitment. And another piece to put it in perspective, for every shot we are delivering here, we're giving we're committing 3 shots to the rest of the world. This commitment also comes as part of a joint EU-US vaccine sharing commitment that the United States and Europe will share doses globally to enhance vaccination rates, with a priority on sharing through COVAX and improving vaccination rates urgently in low and middle income countries. We welcome the EU's announcement today that they will donate over 500 million doses. This is in addition to the doses we have financed through COVAX. And these announcements come as part of today's, of course, summit and global COVID-19 summit, which gathered together, convened heads of state and leaders from over 100 countries. Let's see. With that, I just wanted to also note the Vice President also spoke just recently at this summit, and she announced the U.S. is contributing at least $250 million to establish a new global health security financial intermediary fund at the World Bank to coalesce resources for pandemic preparedness. With that, why don't you kick us off?
Thanks. Media along the border have reported that many Haitians are being released into the United States. Can you clarify why they're not being placed on expulsion flights to Haiti? And does the administration have any concern that these releases undercut the public messaging that Haitians should not come to the border?
Well, let me explain to you a little bit of how the process works. So DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, continues to expel migrants under CDC's Title 42 authority. Those who cannot be expelled, and this has been the case and been our policy and process for migrants coming from any country around the world under Title 42 and who do not have a legal basis to remain, are placed in either expedited, in a form of removal proceedings. And individuals who are not immediately removed are either placed in alternative to detention, Title 42, or transported to an ICE facility. If they are placed in alternative to detention, there's also a process required, a legal document, a document they would have. As a part of that process, Border Patrol agents collect biometric and biographic information, fingerprints, photos, phone numbers, and an address in the United States, and also run a background check as a part of the process. And those who do not report, like anyone who's in our country without legal status, are subject to removal by ICE. I give you all of that to understand the different steps in the process. Obviously, there are flights. We need to have enough flights to transport individuals to Haiti or to other countries. And there are a range of flights, as you know, that are going to different parts of the world, depending, and those are in process. So if we're not, if there isn't a flight ready yet, those individuals may be placed in alternatives to detention, and there, as I noted, is this mechanism where these documents are required.
And could you offer any further details on the call that happened late this morning between President Biden and President Macron? How long did it last?
Sure.
How was the tone? With how much, there was quite a bit of detail in the readout of plans for the meeting. How much of that was worked out beforehand, before the presidents even got together?
Sure. Well, as we've noted in the past, to take your last question first, there have been ongoing discussions and engagements at a variety of levels between the United States and France. So certainly the possibility of a meeting was something that was naturally discussed in advance, but also natural for the president to raise that and discuss it at the leader level. In terms of the tone of the call, it was friendly. It was one where we're hopeful, and the president is hopeful. This is a step in returning to normal in a long, important, abiding relationship that the United States has with France. It was about 30 minutes long. As we noted in the readout, and as you said, it was extensive, but part of during the conversation, the president reaffirmed the strategic importance of French and European engagement, I should say, in the Indo-Pacific region, something that we look forward to continuing to work with them on. And as we said in the readout, the French ambassador will return to Washington next week, and he will then start intensive work with U.S. officials. So that will be part of the ongoing next steps that we go from here. And as we also noted, they will meet in Europe at the end of October.
If I may just quickly follow
Sure.
up on that. Boris Johnson earlier today dismissed French anger over the submarine deal, saying the French officials should get a grip. Substantively, does the administration agree with the Prime Minister's criticism that the French have failed to acknowledge the value of AUKUS and the submarine deal to global security? And then secondly, is calling on the French to get a grip helpful at this point?
Well, I can only speak for our relationship with the French and our relationship with the United Kingdom. And I will say that the president during this call, as we said in the readout, acknowledged that there could be there could have been more discussion in advance of the announcement. And that was an important message for him to convey during that conversation. So I can't speak to the comments and whether they're constructive or not from other countries.
Jen, hey. Go ahead. Thanks, Jen. Follow up on immigration. I have one on the schedule today. So Secretary Mayorkas has now been asked twice on the Hill and he's not been able to provide an answer to this. So I want to ask you, do you have the numbers? How many Haitians have been deported? How many have been processed? And how many have been allowed to stay in the United States?
I certainly understand why you're asking, and understand why people have been asking Secretary Mayorkas. Those are numbers that are the Department of Homeland Security would have the most up-to-date numbers.
But why is it so hard to keep track of a simple number like that? Why can't you give it? Why can't he give it? It's been 2 days now he's been asked that.
I'm certain they will provide it. It's an absolutely fair question to ask, and I'm certain he just wanted to have the most up-to-date numbers to provide.
On the campaign trail, then candidate, now President Biden said, quote, "We're going to restore our moral standing in the world and our historic role as a safe haven for refugees and asylum seekers." How does what's happening on the border right now with Haitian refugees square with that?
Well, which aspect of what's happening at the border?
What's happening with the Haitians?
Do you mean the photos
Them
we've
being
seen,
sent
or do
out,
you
the
mean
photos? Yeah, them not.
Well, first, we understand and agree that this has been an incredibly heart-wrenching issue. We've watched the photos of Haitians gathering under a bridge, many with families, and the horrific video of the CBP officers on horses using brutal and inappropriate measures against innocent people. I think it's important to address that and separately address what our immigration policies are, and understand that people are combining them, but that's why I asked that question. I would also reiterate that there is an investigation that will be completed by next week, which the Secretary confirmed, that will determine the next steps on both policy and personnel. All important questions people are asking, and in the interim, those individuals were placed on administrative leave and will not be interacting with any migrants. So as it relates to those photos and that horrific video, we're not going to stand for that kind of inhumane treatment, and obviously we want this investigation to be completed rapidly. I will say, on the broader question you were asking, the President remains committed to putting in place a humane and orderly immigration system that includes an established and efficient process for applying for asylum, that includes a range of programs for individuals to apply to stay in the United States. That requires Congress acting, and it requires also health conditions improving as we are in the middle of a pandemic. And we are continuing to expel people coming from a range of countries as we are continuing to apply Title 42, because there is a global pandemic that is ongoing. So I would think it's important to note that our policies, our border restrictions, are being applied not just to Haitians, but to people who are coming irregularly to migrate to the country from anywhere. More than 90,000 people were expelled in August. That was even before what we've seen in the troubling photos under the bridge. We are applying immigration laws. We are applying what are border requirements, and we are applying Title 42, which again is a health application given we're in a global pandemic.
And just quickly on the schedule today, with all the Democrats that are here, would you describe where we at on the president's economic plan as a make or break moment?
I would never describe it that way, but I would say, look, this is an important moment. We're in a pivotal period of our negotiations and discussions, and we always knew and have always known that as we get close to points where there are votes called or where there are key moments that Congress has on the calendar, that there needs to be deeper engagement by the president. That's what you're seeing happen today, as you've seen in our announcement of his schedule. He's meeting not just with leadership, he's also meeting with members of a range of caucuses across a broad spectrum of beliefs in the Democratic Party. And he sees his role as uniting and as working to bring together people over common agreement on a path forward. And that's his objective. So yes, these meetings are important. He's looking forward to hearing from people and looking forward to playing a role in bringing people together over achieving our shared goal of lowering costs for people and making the tax system more fair.
That reporter is not going to be invited back.
Just bear with me because there are a lot of moving parts on this issue. Members of the Congressional Black Caucus were here today meeting with the National Security Team, Cedric Richmond and Susan Rice.
Yep.
Can you give us an update, because they were talking about Haiti, the immigration issue at the border. Could you give us an update on that and what is expected for tomorrow's meeting with civil rights leaders, be it teleconference or what have you, with White House officials?
Just what do you mean by an update exactly? An update on what happened in the meeting?
What happened in the meeting, what was given to them, what did they ask for? Because black leaders are making big asks of this crisis moment.
Tell me more about what you think they're asking for.
okay, what they're asking for, the asylum process, what does that look like? Reverend Al Sharpton is going to the border tomorrow to see what that looks like, if people are actually being able to get asylum who's here. Also, you talked about the condemnation of what the patrol agents were doing with the reins or whip, whatever, with the intent to lash, to hurt people, to keep them away from the border. They want to know, is that practice going to still be in place? Horses and the lashing, those kind of issues.
So I just wanted to have clarity on exactly what you were asking about, April. That's it. On the second piece, there is an investigation that is ongoing that the Secretary of Homeland Security has made clear he wants to happen quickly, and he wants the outcome to be done by next week. Once that process is concluded, that will help be a determinant in any policy decisions and personnel decisions both. All important questions. I'm sure that was what was conveyed as well. On the first part, I think in the answer I gave just a few minutes ago here, I think what we are conveying to anyone who are our partners, whether they are civil rights leaders, members of the CBC, and others who have important questions here, is how outraged we also are by these photos and this video, our commitment to this investigation, but also how our immigration processing system works. And in response to Amar's question before, what I tried to lay out is what happens, right? No matter where you are coming from, if you are irregularly migrating, we are still applying Title 42 because we are in the middle of a public health crisis. This is what is conveyed to anyone who has questions. Those individuals who are eligible to stay in the United States through a range of our programs, that they would be allowed to stay in the United States through a range of our programs. If they are, there are some who are placed into removal processes where they also can make the case, whether it's fear of returning back to countries, etc. They will go through the process as well. So I'm sure what they are doing is explaining exactly what our immigration processes are and reiterating as well our outrage at the photos and the video.
But bear with me because this is moving pieces. But with asylum, there are people, advocates, immigration advocates, especially for the advocating for the Haitian migrants right now. They're saying that this administration is breaking UN policies and its own policies by moving people out before allowing them to ask for asylum. Is that the case?
First of all, April, what we are doing, one, Haiti has temporary protected status for people who arrived here before July 29th. That is not a status that most other people who are irregularly migrating from other countries have. As individuals, as we go through this process, as I outlined just a few minutes ago, individuals who cannot be expelled under Title 42, a range of reasons why they may not be able to be, those individuals are placed into removal proceedings. That is where the process would take place, where they would apply for a variety of programs. While they're in that process, they are required to also provide biometric and biographic information and data. So that's how the process works. What is important for people to know and understand is that this is how our immigration and border requirements apply to everyone, whether they're coming from Haiti or any country in South or Central America.
You have Africans as well, that you said there are people from other places, but you have Africans, Cameroonians, Ugandans, and Senegalese who are coming to that border as well. What happens with them as they are looking for asylum? Do you lump them into the same category with the Haitians that are at the border, be it Del Rio or wherever along the border?
I think the point I'm making, April, and then we just have to move on to get to more people, is that anyone who's coming from anywhere, if there's temporary protected status for their country, as there are for Haitians who arrived before July, that they can apply through that program. If they're coming from other countries where we don't have that status, then they are expelled according to Title 42. If they are not, if they can't be expelled according to Title 42, they're placed in expedited removal or in alternatives to detention, no matter what country they're coming from. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. Going back to the phone call this morning briefly with the French president, did President Biden apologize to Emmanuel Macron?
He acknowledged that there could have been greater consultation. And the call, again, as I stated earlier, was a friendly call, and there was agreement that we wanted to move forward in our relationship.
The French translation said that open consultation, quote, would have made it possible to avoid this situation. The English translation said the situation would have benefited from open consultation. So similar, but not entirely the same. So did the president apologize to his French friend?
He acknowledged there could have been greater consultation, but again, this call was really focused on the path forward and returning back to normal and the important work we have to do with the French ahead.
Was the president using this as a learning point, perhaps? Who does he believe, or should he have been more aware of the potential fallout from this? Has he had conversations with any staff members, like the Secretary of State or the National Security Advisor, about exactly how this breakdown happened?
We always look to assess how we can make improvements to how we do consultations, and certainly they'll apply, and that part of that happens through conversations with members of his national security team, and we'll work to apply those moving forward.
Does he hold Jake Sullivan responsible for this?
He certainly doesn't hold anyone. He holds himself responsible, and certainly, though, he has a responsibility to talk to his team always about how we can best manage our diplomatic relationships, and that's what he does in any scenario.
One more small question on the meetings this afternoon. On the price tag, is the president still committed to the $3.5 trillion price tag, or does he believe now that more flexibility on that number is warranted?
Well, even before today or before this week, the president has always been open to negotiations and discussions and knew that he was not going to be alone able to wave a magic wand and pass a proposal, right? So part of the objective today, while he's meeting with a range of members with a range of viewpoints, which we welcome, is to see where people are and work to see how we can get this across the finish line moving forward. What he's encouraged by is the fact that there is actually, I know we focus a lot, understandably, on areas of disagreement. There's a lot of agreement on lowering costs for American families, on making sure we're investing now in addressing the climate crisis, in making the tax system more fair. There's a lot of agreement on that. And it's a point where we need to figure out what the path forward is. The president's going to play a role in hopefully uniting people around the next steps. Go ahead.
Just to follow up again on the French, you said in the statements that there will be a meeting in late October. Is that in France? Is that on the sidelines of the G20 or the COP26?
Well, there are some international forums that are happening next month that might bring the president to Europe. I don't have any formal announcements yet to make, but to your question, we're still finalizing what it looks like exactly.
Democratic negotiators on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act say the bipartisan talks are dead. Is that the view of the White House? Is there any response to this announcement that it's apparently over?
Well, I'd also say there was a statement put out by Senator Booker, who is a key. I think you were referencing that. I think that was the statement you were referencing. So I would say that first, the president and everyone in the administration, we have been strongly supportive of Senator Booker and Representative Bass in their efforts, and we're greatly appreciative of their efforts, which we consider to be ongoing. Unfortunately, Republicans rejected reforms that even the previous president had supported and refused to engage on key issues that many in law enforcement were willing to address. And so we are disappointed. The president is disappointed, even after Senator Booker and Representative Bass did yeoman's work, even after they worked to secure law enforcement support and showed they were willing to find consensus. So yes, we acknowledge, of course, what the negotiators have conveyed publicly at this point in time. I can convey to you that in the coming weeks, we're going to consult the president. We will all, our team, will consult with members of Congress, the law enforcement, civil rights communities, and victims' families to discuss a path forward, including potential executive actions the president can take to ensure we live up to the American ideal of equality, justice under law.
And on the situation on the southern border, there was a meeting today with members of the CBC. The vice president talked to the Homeland Security Secretary to express concern. How often does this get to the president? Does he get briefed on these situations, or is he just getting it in news reports?
Of course he gets briefed on them, absolutely, by his team.
Okay. Well, to the point that we were trying to ask him about yesterday, what is his impression of this situation down there? What does he make of how those Border Patrol agents were seen to be interacting with these migrants? And, where is he on dealing with these wide range of immigration issues that continue to challenge this government?
Well, Ed, on the subject of the video footage and the photos, the president was horrified by that, just as we all were. He, of course, received a briefing and update from his national security team on the efforts by the Secretary of Homeland Security to launch an investigation, and one that he would like to see concluded rapidly. as it relates to our efforts to implement our immigration laws and border requirements, the president is quite hopeful, as he conveyed on his first day in office when he introduced an immigration bill, that we can take steps to put in place a more humane, a more orderly system, especially after a very broken one over the last several years, that has better asylum processing, that has a better system and a range of programs individuals can apply to. The president also believes and knows, as we all do, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and we need to continue to administer Title 42, which expels individuals who come to the border. So he is horrified by the photos and the footage. He is also committed to implementing and abiding by our laws.
And what is your understanding of what transpired in the Oval Office yesterday when we were all in there trying to hear from the President and the Prime Minister?
Which aspect?
Well, the British Prime Minister in the American Oval Office called out British reporters, and then when American reporters tried to call in the American President, we were escorted out, let's put it that way.
Well, I think in that circumstance, and I think our relationship with the United Kingdom and with Prime Minister Johnson is so strong and abiding, we will be able to move forward beyond this. But he called on individuals from his press corps without alerting us to that intention in advance. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. Just following up on this very basic but very important question. You're telling us that the DHS chief has the most recent numbers about how many of these Haitians under the bridge have been sent back and how many have been released into the U.S. The DHS chief is telling us that he doesn't know. So who else can we ask?
You can certainly ask the Department of Homeland Security. I am confident, Peter. I am confident he wanted to have the most up-to-date numbers, and we will venture to get you those, I promise you, this afternoon.
Is this an issue of not knowing, or is this an issue of a lot more people are being released into the U.S. than are being sent out?
That is certainly not the issue. First, I think it's important to reiterate what I conveyed earlier about what the actual process is. Individuals are expelled under Title 42. If they can't be expelled under Title 42, they are put into a removal process. If they are put into a removal process, they're either transported to an ICE facility or released with a legal document. That legal document includes fingerprints, photos, phone numbers, an address in the United States, and a background check. That's the process that transpires. That's a part of our immigration process, regardless of where you're coming from.
And just because you keep using Title 42 to defend this administration's immigration policies, that is a Trump-era regulation. You guys came in saying that the Trump-era immigration policy was very inhumane.
Title 42 is not an immigration policy. It is a health authority because we're in the middle of a pandemic. The Trump administration approach to immigration was inhumane and was immoral. That's why we need to put a new policy in place, and we need Congress to pass that policy.
Unified control, democratic control of Congress. Many months in office, you have not even tried.
That's not actually true. There's been a Peter, just factual here. There's been a bill proposed first day in office. Currently, it was proposed as a part of steps were proposed as part of the reconciliation process. Right, the parliamentarian rejected that proposal. They're going back and proposing new options. President supports that. He would like to see immigration reform passed into law, more humane processes.
Just one more. Has President Biden
She almost just shit.
to the southern border?
In his life?
Yes.
I will have to look back in my history books and check the times he's been to the southern
We
border.
have been
I'm
looking
happy
all
to.
morning, and we cannot find any record of him visiting the border as president, vice president, senator, or even as a concerned citizen. Why would that be?
I can check and see when the last time or when he may have been. But tell me more about why you're asking.
Because this is a president who makes a point when there are disasters in this country, like a wildfire or a hurricane, to go and see for himself firsthand what the needs are of the local community so that he can have an informed POV to make policy. Why doesn't he do that? Why doesn't he go down to Del Rio, Texas and see what's going on?
Well, first of all, Peter, I think the situation at the border is the result of a broken system. And the president certainly relies on his experience. So whether it was the work he did to address root causes as vice president, his efforts when he was in the Senate to support comprehensive immigration reform, steps that at a time were being done and worked toward in a bipartisan way, something that certainly certainly we think should be the case today. He uses all of his experiences to inform how he governs, how he approaches challenges, and certainly he looks again at the last 4 years and the separation of children who were ripped from the arms of their parents as a way he does not want to proceed. So all of his experiences and his time in office, whether vice president or Senate, inform his approach to issues. Go ahead.
The Brazilian health minister tested positive for
She's like, F you, Peter. F you.
time with Boris Johnson on Monday. Boris Johnson spent time privately with President Biden yesterday in the Oval Office. Can you just give us a sense of the level of concern at the White House about that? What, if anything, has been done? How often the president is tested, and any updates?
Sure. The president is tested regularly. I think I conveyed he was tested last week. I can check if there's more recent tests over the last several days, but as it relates to this specific incident, of course, we take our protocols very seriously. White House protocols and his presidential travel protocols are based on CDC risk mitigation guidelines, and that includes the CDC definition of a close contact to determine when someone may be at higher risk for contracting COVID. Based on this definition and precautions put in place by our team in the UN, we're not implementing any new protocols or new testing as it relates to those incidents.
Nothing different. There's nothing different that happened in the last 24 hours since he was with Boris Johnson because of his exposure.
Correct.
Okay. Let me ask you about this meeting a little bit later today, if I can. First, does the president want to vote on both the reconciliation budget package, or the budget reconciliation package, and the bipartisan infrastructure package to take place on Monday?
The president trusts the leadership of Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer, and certainly he'll work closely with them to get these across the finish line.
Bottom line, Americans are watching this. Who needs to give here, the progressive Democrats or the moderate Democrats?
Sometimes there's need for compromise from every end, but he'll know more after these discussions today in the coming days.
So let me ask this then, if I can, Jen. So the president, he campaigned, and in his first months in office, he campaigned on this message of unity and competence, that he could make Washington work, that he would rebuild, revitalize these alliances. Now Americans are seeing headlines about Democrats divided about what they're going to do on this agenda. France is furious at the U.S. There's frustration among allies about Afghanistan. What should Americans make of that, given what they've seen in recent weeks?
Well, let me take each of those issues. The president just had a friendly phone call with the president of France where they agreed to meet in October and continue close consultations and work together on a range of issues.
And where he acknowledged the failure, right, that he should have communicated better and advanced that.
Well, again, I think in terms of the level of American concerns, acknowledging there can be closer coordination and consultation, I don't think is going to be the height of concern for most of the American people. But anyone who's concerned about our relationship with France can rest assured that they had a friendly phone call and we have a path forward. On the second,
which is why I asked.
on the second piece, I would say this is a messy sausage-making process. The president today, what Americans should be encouraged by is the president is bringing people of a range of viewpoints on big, important packages that are going to make their lives better here to the White House to have a discussion about it. He's rolling up his sleeves. He's welcoming them to the Oval Office. He'll have some COVID-safe snacks, whatever may happen. People should be encouraged by that. And that's the kind of president he is. He's going to be deeply engaged with getting bills and legislation across the finish line to make their lives better.
I guess just to punctuate that, why do you think in the most recent poll from Gallup that 43% of Americans now approve of his handling of the job, which had been well above 50% only a matter of weeks ago? What do you think in the eyes of Americans has changed that you guys have not done well enough?
Well, I think the country is going through a lot right now, and people are still under the threat of COVID. That is concerning to a lot of people. We see that in polls as well. Even as they approve of the president's handling of COVID, that's still something impacting people's lives. There's a great deal of anxiety about that. We understand that. But our objective is to keep pushing his agenda forward and keep making their lives better and, look at that over the long term. Go ahead.
Jen, I was struck by
What's a COVID-safe snack?
about what happened yesterday in the Oval Office.
Okay.
Can you shed a little bit more light on this? Did the president feel he was upstaged by the British Prime Minister yesterday?
I think the president has not spent a moment worrying about it.
Can I ask you, because there are so many issues that we have discussed here that are of interest to the public, everything from the collapse of the police reform negotiations on Capitol Hill today to the pivotal period we're in, 8 days before the end of the fiscal year and no deal yet to avoid a government shutdown a week from tomorrow. When can we expect to hear, or when can we expect to have the opportunity to ask the president substantive, pointed questions about these matters in a way that he will elaborate on his views?
Well, First, the president knows that he was elected not just to get the pandemic under control and put people back to work, but protect our democracy and stand up for what's right and be transparent. And certainly part of that is engaging with all of you. I would note that he answered questions 135 times leading up to September, 3 times last week. And he'll keep looking for forums to answer questions from all of you, something that he sees as vitally important to our democracy.
In this month of September, most of the occasions we've had have been fleeting. In fact, there are some occasions where he's only taken one question and walked away, and most of those occasions have occurred outside of this building. So when can we expect to have an opportunity to actually ask the president questions in a formal setting?
Again, Steve, I'm not trying to diminish or ask for a formal press conference, which certainly I'm sure we will have another one. But I will convey to you that as it relates to providing information to the public, elevating the importance of the freedom of press to our democracy, that I don't know that the format, whether it is multiple shorter Q&As or a longer formal press conference, is at the top of the list of the American public's concern.
We intend to raise the matters of concern to the public at those press conferences.
As you have during 140 times you've asked the president questions. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. A couple to follow on Macron first. The French had called for the cancellation of the EU-US Trade and Tech Summit in Pittsburgh next week. After the phone call today, do you expect that to go forward?
We're still, our officials who are planning to attend are still planning to attend.
With no sense of if the Europeans are.
We're continuing to plan for an inaugural meeting of the group in Pittsburgh as a follow-on to the commitment made several months ago.
The Readout said that the U.S. was committed to reinforcing support for French counterterrorism operations. I'm wondering if that is sort of a broad, we're allies and partners, or if that was, we should read between the lines that is some new commitment that we've given to the French in terms of like tangible support.
I would read it more as the former, in that they're an important partner in the Indo-Pacific. They're an important partner around the world, and certainly addressing the threat of terrorism that has metastasized and changed over the course of the last 20 years is a vital priority for us, as it is a vital priority to the French. And as I noted, when the ambassador comes back, there'll be consultations. Obviously, there'll be a meeting between President Biden and President Macron, and I'm sure they'll discuss this and a range of issues.
Fed today shifted forward their projections of when the economy would be ready for a rate hike, which suggests economic strength, which I assume you'd be happy about, but obviously many Americans are still struggling, so I wonder if you agree with that assessment from the Federal Reserve.
We certainly agree with the independence of the Federal Reserve and their right to make decisions it deems necessary on monetary policy. I would note that even just yesterday, the OECD projected 6% GDP growth, certainly a positive sign, which is nearly double what was projected in December. And the OECD also increased its projection for U.S. GDP growth in 2022. So we've seen a number of positive signs as it relates to economic growth. That doesn't mean that every issue, to your point, every American is having as it relates to inequality or access is solved. It's not. But our focus and our policies is to address those over the long term.
On the congressional meetings today, sort of the format of them, you seem to have leaders coming in, then moderates, then progressives. Why isn't everybody in the same room? I mean, I think we've heard from all three of these people where they are, and it seems like you're kind of inviting an echo chamber rather than a chance for people to hash it out with the president sort of playing moderate.
Look, I think the president wants to hear from everybody on what they're most excited about, what concerns they may have, and he wants to play a role in hopefully unifying members of the party around the path forward. And he felt this was the most constructive format at this point. I will tell you, this is probably not going to be his last engagement with a single member of Congress in these important days forward. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. I wanted to ask, just building on something here. Did President Biden offer French President Macron any commitments to make feelings feel a little better? And in addition, did Macron ask for anything?
Well, I can't. I'll point you to the French to speak to President Macron. I would say that the conversation was really about the path forward. And as I noted, the president acknowledged that greater consultation would have been helpful in this case, but it was about how to work together as we look ahead. It was not about offering a specific proposal or policy item.
Can I ask you about immigration? Now that the parliamentarian has ruled against including immigration in reconciliation, and I recognize that Democrats are going to push for other avenues within reconciliation. But beyond reconciliation, what is the Biden administration's path forward for immigration? The president, as a candidate, campaigned on this issue. What type of relief is possible, and what can the Biden administration do to bring that?
Well, first, I would say our current and immediate focus is on supporting the efforts of senators who have been vocal about their desire, as you said, to put forward alternate proposals to be considered by the parliamentarian and see where that goes. There are a range of passionate leaders in the Senate, in the House, who want to see immigration reform happen. And we will certainly continue to work with them to see what vehicle and path forward, what that looks like. But that's our next step right now, is assessing, is them putting forward an option for the parliamentarian to consider. Go ahead.
John, back on the French call for a moment. Did the president seek or receive any clarity from President Macron on why the French decided to recall the ambassador, take that step which had never been taken before? And does the president himself think that that step was commensurate with the offense?
I think, Anne, as I've conveyed a little bit, the focus was really on the relationship moving forward. And as we noted in the readout, the French ambassador is returning later on this week. And the 30-minute call was really more about how we can work together in a substantive way on shared areas of interest.
Not worried that the Ambassador Haitian would be yanked again if the next thing doesn't go right?
I think he's committed to working together to ensure there is consultation moving forward, close consultation, as is evidenced by their plans for a meeting in October.
On the coronavirus summit this morning, the president said rightly that the U.S. is a leader in vaccine donation, but as you well know, there is criticism of the U.S. for the prospect of booster shots, a third shot in many cases for Americans before most in Africa have had one. Was that a topic of discussion? Why didn't we hear anything from the president or from the UN ambassador on that point today in their opener?
Well, we're now donating 3 shots globally for every 1 shot we've put in the arm of an American. And our view continues to be that we can do both, and it's a false choice. Our view also continues to be that, frankly, the rest of the world needs to step up and do more. And now we're at the point where, of course, we've now committed to over 1.1 billion vaccines donated, but we're also committed to we also have a partnership with the Quad. Obviously, they're meeting later this week to produce at least 1 billion doses. Our work to boost vaccine manufacturing in South Africa is going to produce 500 million single-dose regimens in Africa for Africa, and we will continue to do more. Share doses, scale manufacturing, invest in vaccines abroad. You heard the president talk about that. But we also need the world to do more, especially developed economies that can do more to contribute to this effort to defeat the pandemic. Go ahead. Sorry, Deb, we'll continue.
Great. Just following Jen on Anne's question there, you keep saying that the president will engage in deep consultations with the French. You could have said that in 1949 when the French first joined NATO. So I'm trying to understand here what is different now after this than it was before. Is the president's vision here that you simply go back to the way things were, where clearly that consultation process failed? Or is the president's vision that you have a new project of some kind with the French that begins to make reparations for what they view as what they've lost?
I think, David, it's more about we've had a strong relationship for many decades. Of course, yes, there's been ups and downs in that relationship, but the president's objective is that we should go back to normal and that we should go back to a relationship where we work closely together on a range of issues facing the global community, addressing COVID, the global economy, security, the Indo-Pacific, and how we work together in those mechanisms will determine as we keep having close consultations and discussions moving forward.
One question on the Quad meeting, which is coming up on Friday. So they'll have the Australians there, but then you'll also have India and Japan. Would you envision for them a similar kind of military role that you've now defined with the Australians?
AUKUS, what would it become? JAUKUS? JIAUKUS?
Awkward AUKUS? I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
Look, I think, David, that the announcement of AUKUS last week was not meant to be an indication, and I think this is a message the president also sent to to Macron, that there's no one else who will be involved in security in the Indo-Pacific. Of course, it's a topic of discussion, an important topic in conversations, with the French, with a range of countries who have a direct interest in the region. I can convey to you that we will have a preview call on the Quad meeting, which I know there's a lot of excitement about, for probably tomorrow in advance of that meeting, where we'll go through more detail of the planned agenda for the meeting as well. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jen, China's Evergrande agreed to settle interest payments on a domestic bond today. I know this is very wonky, but it's impacted.
We love wonky in here.
The market.
Everyone's a nerd in here in some way.
Is the White House satisfied with that solution, and do you have more concerns about contagion from that particular company?
Well, as I said the other day, and I'm happy to talk to the Treasury team to see if there's anything more we can offer. Obviously, the majority of their business is in China or has been in China, and we, of course, closely monitor the markets and the impact on the global markets, which is something certainly the Treasury Department does. So that's where we look and assess in terms of how it relates to the United States. So I don't have anything new to provide from here, but I'm happy to check with them if there's anything in addition.
All right, and just to follow up on the meetings this afternoon, can you give us a sense of how President Biden plans to bridge those divides? I know he's going to listen, and I know you've talked about him wanting to hear from all sides and be more engaged. How does he get there? What does he do? What does he say? What does he give up?
Meetings haven't happened yet. Look, I think the president wants to play a role and talking and reminding people of what we have in common, how we can be united in making people's lives better in this country. He understands, and he's been a part of the Democratic Party for 50 years. He understands there are disagreements. Some of those are on the margin, some of them are larger. He's going to listen, he's going to engage, and he's going to hopefully play a constructive role as the leader of the party, as the President of the United States, on moving this important agenda forward. But it's hard for me to assess in advance of the meeting. Maybe we'll have more to say after they're over. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. On global vaccines, the administration has previously noted that there's been logistical challenges in getting vaccines out to the countries that are actually in need. Just with this latest round that you just announced today, has the administration adopted any new strategies for increasing the actual deployment of these vaccines, not just the procurement of them?
Well, those cases, I don't know if are you referring to any specific country or just...
In general, you all have noted that it is difficult.
You're right. It has been. What is a good sign, I should say, is that because we've now donated vaccines to a range of countries around the world, we've been able to work through some of those regulatory, legal, logistical hurdles that have been challenges in some